Hello, everyone, and welcome to the only podcast on the internet with true measurable Nintendo power. I am Jimbo of YouTube's Retro Game Lounge. That is Tyler of Metroid's Primed, and welcome back to the Nerd Bucket Podcast. And we're late, Tyler, but that's okay because, we're not just on YouTube all the time. We have actual lives and shit, so...
That's right. Jimbo was feeling a little bit under the weather earlier this week, so we kind of pushed it back. You feeling better, buddy?
A little bit better. I apologize in advance, guys, if you hear me cough. Just kind of had a really fast, hard-hitting cold that caught up with me on Friday and just been nagging me ever since. But I'm just about back to normal. But when I talk for a certain length of time, it seems to require my body to regurgitate air. And I don't know why, because being sick sucks. But I gotta tell you, dude. All right, so all right, we're just... There's something that irritates me that I actually was reminded of today, and I know that this is probably something that we have in common, since this is a mutual hobby slash activity of ours. Ladies and gentlemen, both Tyler and myself, believe it or not, actually are fond of lifting shit off the ground and putting it back down, aka weightlifting. And I've been doing this for probably the better part of a decade. And things have changed, I have changed, and people have changed. Like, the entire gym etiquette, I think, has kind of evolved over the last decade. But I gotta tell you, there is some really weird shit that I have experienced at the gym. Just the strangest things. Like, it's this odd watering hole of people from all different walks of life. Some people you have things in common with, some people you don't. And it's, I mean... I'll be honest with you, I'm having trouble narrowing my selections of stories down here to just a couple because I don't want this to be like the weightlifting podcast. This is still the nerd bucket, and nerds can lift, that's okay, but I don't know. Like, I just figured I would share one with you guys, and I know that Tyler probably has one as well that he hasn't shared with me. This is legit, people. We've never had this conversation before. But just a couple different random things that I've seen that I've always thought were just odd and irritating. So, I'm at the gym one day, and I'm going through some of my sets. I believe the exercise I was doing was dumbbell shrugs, which, for those of you not in the know, it's basically when you stick a dumbbell in each hand and you just do the blonde, like, I don't know, works the trapezius muscles. Great freaking workout. And when I do it, my gym has, like, a really long, like most gyms, dumbbell rack that's, like, stretching almost the width of the gym. So... the heavy weights, which I do, I'm usually up over 100 pounds in each hand when I'm doing it, are on the bottom shelf. Obviously, the lighter ones are on the top. And guys, I'm not a small dude. Like, I'm 6'2", without my shoes on. So bending over and picking up 200 pounds every single time I want to do a set is not exactly something I want to do to my back in my mid-30s, So basically what I do is I wait for an available spot and I grab one of the flat benches, and there's several. There's like 5 or 6, I think, in this area. So it's not like there's one and I'm the one asshole hogging it. And I'll basically just like kind of pull it over to my little section, and I'll bring the weights and I'll lay them on the bench and kind of stand next to it and do my exercises, right? So I'm doing it one time, and guys, I do these things really fast. My workouts do not take very long because the way I do them, it almost makes conventional cardio unnecessary. I've measured
Like
my
circuit training?
it's like pedal to the metal, dude. Like, when I get in there, I don't let up. My rest periods are very brief. I've got a heart monitor on me the whole time, and dudes, I'm not dropping below 115 beats per minute the whole time. Like, I am just on fire from the second I get in there. And so when I do an exercise, I'm not really holding anyone up for more than a couple of minutes. Like, I'd say 3.5, 4 at the most, on a slow day. So, I'm there doing my dumbbell shrugs, got my dumbbells on the bench and everything, and I'm blasting through them. I take, I don't know, 45 seconds, maybe a minute at the most between sets, and a set takes me maybe 30 seconds. And this girl comes up to me, and I can see her eyeing me. It's almost like she's staring at what I'm doing, and I'm like trying not to pay attention to her. I got my earbuds in, focused on them, freaking thrash metal in my ears to get me all pumped up. And she comes over to me, and I take an earbud out. I was like, hi. And she was like, yeah, are you using that? And she's pointing at the bench that my weights are sitting on. And I got to be honest with you guys, I actually paused for a second to think, like, is she being fucking sarcastic? Like, I almost didn't know what to say. Like, am I using this? Like, my first reaction is, what the fuck does it look like I'm doing? Like, do you not see my weights on it? And I'm like, yeah, I am. She's like, are you going to be finished soon? And my normal reaction to that is, I wasn't aware I'm working out around your fucking schedule, lady. And I told this to my buddy, Ray Wild, who, for any of you out there who watch my YouTube channel, you've seen on one of my shows, Dirt Flicks. My incredibly technically incapable co-host who can't figure out Google Plus to save his fucking curly-headed life. And the way I explain this to him, he's a personal trainer, by the way, guys, by trade, and has been one for a long time. And his explanation of this, I thought, was the best possible way anyone could, like, just boil this down to essentials. He was like, I can tell you what she was doing, dude. She was basically dressing up her protest for what you were doing. Like, you weren't using this piece of exercise equipment in a way that she sees fit, and she's basically trying to tell you you're using this in a way that's, quite frankly, impeding me from doing my workout. And my response to that is, what the fuck difference does it make which way I'm using it? If I'm going to take the same amount of time, why do you care? Like, I mean, really? Like, what does it matter what I'm doing on it? As long as I'm not taking it up for like 30 minutes or whatever. If I'm in and out of your face in less than 5 minutes, who cares? You know?
Right.
I mean, it's not a fucking instruction manual on this thing that says, like, you must do this on this. And, you know, again, the normal gut reaction is like, hi, I'm sorry, what is your name? Oh, Kristen? Oh, can you explain to me exactly where the fuck on this bench it says Kristen's bench? It doesn't, does it? So,
well, I mean, and it's not like you're working through with like 2 or 3 other people.
No, it's just me. I work out alone.
You're going pretty quick sets anyways. So.
I get out of people's way, dude, because I kind of foolishly, I think, kind of lead by example sometimes, because I want people to do the same thing. Like, get the fuck out of my way. You know, I don't want to be here all night. I want to get in and out in an hour and go home tired.
Well, I know when, you know, me and a couple of my friends we used to have this workout group where we'd go in the morning, and we always we called it the breakfast crew because,
Nice.
well,
the breakfast club.
Yeah, the breakfast club.
Yeah.
And anyways, they would get their coffee, their mug of coffee, and they'd be, you know, sitting around the bench, you know, drinking. And no matter what day it is, it's always bench day for some of these same people. Like, they do like
that.
2 workouts, bench press, and never do legs.
How much does that irritate you when you you see someone in there and you know that like they do like 2 exercises and you're like, what the fuck?
but they've always are congregated around the bench. So
yes,
one of them do a set, and then, you know, they get up and they are talking, and it's like, all right, next person get on. Now this is back when there was like 2 or 3 benches in this place, so you know, it was pretty hard to get on. But you know, it was, these guys would just sit there and they would take like 10 minutes, you know, in between sets, and it's like, you know, it'd be nice to be able to spend the whole morning inside the gym,
sure,
you know, but you know, some of us got to go to work.
Yeah.
So that was one of my big pet peeves. Just and usually when you get more than 2 people,
yeah,
in any sort of weightlifting, you know, you're going to sit there and talk, and it's going to cut into your workout anyways. Usually, like 2 is the magic number, like the most people you want to work out with. But
that's all you
man,
need.
they had like a group of like 4 or 5 people. It was ridiculous.
You know what I think it is? I have an analogy for this. Okay, I think that men, as a rule, are more irritating in a gym than women are. Because, or specifically I should say men in groups. I picture men in groups in a gym is probably what women are like in a bathroom. You know, when they always go to the bathroom together and they kind of congregate. I'm like, this is
the herd.
Yeah, in the fucking herd. You know, like women have like this bladder synchronization technique that men somehow don't understand. I picture that as what women is like, you know, behind the closed doors of the ladies' room. I'm like, God, like, it's just, and it, dude, I know the exact type that you're talking about. The guys who all they do is like bench and like maybe
curls,
maybe a squat. I mean, like, it's, they don't do
no,
shit.
They don't do any squats. These guys, like, all are pretty, you know, big chested, but with bird legs
or a deadlift. I see a lot of guys doing that, and the guys Oh, and those same guys do this thing that I call jack lifting, where they're basically like they go up to the rack, they're like looking at themselves in the mirror, and I'm talking like this far away, ladies and gentlemen. I know for those of you listening to the podcast, you can't see it. I'm basically stretching my hands about a foot apart. So one hand is my face, the other hand is the mirror, and they're just like staring themselves down, and just like this. It's almost like it's like a testosterone based masturbation or something. Like they're literally like they're mentally jacking themselves off, and it's fucking.
And then after they get done with the set, it's the 5 minutes of posing.
Yeah.
Right in front of
Dude,
let me get my posing routine
dude,
down.
we go to this. Why haven't I seen you? Did we go to the same fucking gym? It sounds
must,
like we do.
We must. Yeah.
Yeah, and the guys are just like they always do this fucking cock strut. Every time they get off the bench, they're like, and they get around, they like walk around, just like aimlessly wandering stuff. Look in the mirror. Yeah, bro. Like it's like, God, dude, would you stop jacking yourself off, man? Save the posing for the stage. I'm here to work. God, I mean, you want to do that? Go in the locker room. There's plenty of mirrors in there too.
Oh man. Speaking of the locker room, I've got a great thing that really just annoys the hell out of me.
Uh-oh.
And my buddy Jeff, he listens to the podcast, but
Hi, Jeff.
he affectionately calls this. We've all heard of the Green Mile, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, this is called the Cold Mile, and every gym has one of these guys.
I know where this is coming from. All right, go ahead.
All right. So a lot of gyms have locker rooms, and of course, they've got showers in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the way our gym was set up is the showers are, in a separate room than all the lockers,
Sure.
As in most gyms. Well, you've got these random older guys that are, 60, 70.
Oh,
and
man.
We're talking about, go to the shower and then walk straight from the shower out to the locker, nothing on.
Oh, buddy.
That is the Cold Mile.
It's the thing where it's
we're like, dude, like
I know.
Nobody wants to see that.
And
Just
it's only the old. I guess it's when you get to that age, you just don't give a fuck. Like maybe
Right.
maybe we'll be the same way when we're like in our 60s and 70s. We're like, who the fuck am I impressing? I mean, who cares?
Maybe in some obtuse way, we really admire these guys that they don't give a fuck.
That they just got the balls to do this.
It's like fuck
Like
it.
saggy ass balls hanging down and shit. They're just like, fuck it, I'm old. What am I gonna do?
I'm walking out there. I don't give a damn.
Dude,
Look at
I think I'm probably gonna be the same way because like I already almost don't give a fuck now. Like I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I used to be almost 300 pounds. When you lose a significant amount of weight, you stop giving a fuck, what people think. You start getting more and more comfortable with yourself, and I'm not quite there yet. I guess because I know it irritates people, so it's like, why throw gas on the fire? Leave it alone. It's not a big deal to wrap a towel around me, right? Like walk in the locker room, dick swinging. But it's I think based upon where I am now at my current age, I think if you double that age, that's doubling the amount of I don't give a fuck. So I think by the time I reach my dad's age, I'm gonna be like, I don't care, dude. Screw it. I'm old. Who cares? They know they're gonna see old penis, so it's all good. But yeah, that's my gym rant for the day, ladies and gentlemen. If any of you watching this or listening, if any of you guys have a really good gym story, by all means, give this a thumbs up and definitely leave us a comment. I love hearing gym horror stories because they're always fucking funny. There is no such thing as a bad gym story. So, now that this is back to the Nerd Bucket podcast and we're out of the Roidcast, I guess we can get back to being geeks. So hang on, let me deflate my pecs. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Before you deflate your pecs, I've got a little nerd rant that I want to address. And
there we go. Okay.
There we go. Now we're prepared to do this.
You got it, man.
All right.
Let's hit it. Let's hit it.
This week, I was, skimming the news as I'm one to do during the week at work, trying to pass the day. And I look and I see a story about the guy that created Minecraft.
Uh-oh.
Oh, do you know
I read this story.
Oh, man, this is choice. Let me read you the headline of this article. The melancholy billionaire, Minecraft creator unhappy with his sudden wealth. I'm going to take a line from a famous philosopher, Justin Timberlake,
Oh, all right.
and say, "Cry me a river." You know,
Biatch.
I mean, right? I mean, you sold your game for $2.5 billion.
And it's not even that good of a game. I mean, it's a fucking it's a game that graphically would have been impressive in 1991, and you're a fucking billionaire.
Well, I like the game, but games like that, I have a hard time playing for a long time.
Right.
Like, I've got a friend that legitimately, he listens to the podcast too. Hey, Tyler, how you doing, buddy? But
Two Tylers? Holy shit.
yeah, two Tylers.
His
this
last
guy,
name isn't fucking Durden, is it?
no.
He's not your imaginary friend.
If it was, we'd have a problem.
Okay.
But anyways, Tyler legitimately has a problem playing Minecraft. He cannot quit. Like, that is he'll get to where he's building something in Minecraft and he'll just go on and on for like weeks. And finally I had to have like an intervention with him last week, and I was like, "Man, you're missing so many good games playing the same shit. There's no end to fucking mine. Well, I guess there technically is like an end game. There's like a thing now where I guess you can go to like the end stage or whatever. But regardless of that, like, you could play Minecraft for forever. Like, I mean, it's a building game. It's a sandblock game basically. But just you've got to break out of that mold. So I think Minecraft has its merits, but like, I just can't play it for forever. There's people that can play it non-stop. So I understand why he got so much money for it.
Sure.
But there's so many people out there struggling that are having a hard time. So many game developers that are going under, and you sold your game for $2.5 billion and you're not happy. And I just want to say that I came prepared.
Oh.
I have some of his text tweets.
Oh boy.
That he sent out the night that made the story there.
I haven't heard this, so lay it on me, dude.
All right, here he is. The problem with getting everything is you run out of reasons to keep trying, and human interaction becomes impossible due to imbalance. Hanging out in Ibiza with a bunch of friends and partying with famous people, able to do whatever I want, and never felt more isolated. I mean, this sounds like a bad joke.
What the fuck?
Sweden. In Sweden, I will sit around and wait for my friends with jobs and families to have time to do shit, watching my reflection in this monitor. And I'm like, these are the worst excuses that I've ever heard in my life.
I'm speechless.
I mean,
What
dude,
the fuck?
like, go out and start a charity.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of shit you can do. Yeah, you've got whatever you want. That's when you like go out and start helping people. Start a new company or something, like make a new game. But I mean, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life, that this guy has that much money.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally angered me when I read this story, and I was just...
I wouldn't run out of things to do if I had over $1 billion. Like,
I mean, look at Mark Cuban. He's having the time of his life.
I know. That guy is like the idealistic billionaire. He's like, being a billionaire is fucking awesome. Like, I'm having fun.
Right. Look at Bill Gates. I mean, they're doing all kinds of stuff with charities and whatnot. I mean, there's plenty maybe he needs to have a billionaire intervention or something. I don't know.
Jesus Christ. Talk about fucking first world problems. I think you have the single best example of first world problems in this freaking rant, because no one in the third world is ever going to understand what it's like to feel upset about being rich.
Right.
Jesus Christ, man. That's just like, I mean, did you ever see Scrooge McDuck get upset about having cash? Fuck no, man. The dude did like freaking swan dives into his pile of gold, even though that would technically kill him, but that's okay. I mean, because gold's pretty unforgiving, ladies and gentlemen. But no, I mean, it's, dude, the sheer number of things that I can imagine myself doing. I'll tell you what, we won't even cross the billion mark. How about 100 million, which is a fraction of what that guy's worth. My biggest quandary is, where do I begin? Like, right. I mean, I'd keep doing all the shit that I do now. I'd just scale it up. Like, instead of having to go out and hunt for things, I would just find a guy with a collection who wants to offload it and be like, how much do you want? And just write that motherfucker a check and be like, boom, NES collection. There it is. I go to Pat the Honest Punk, I'd be like, how much do you want for your gold card, dude? Huh? What do you want, 70 grand? Is that all? No problem. So I can tell you what, and then I'm going to go to another guy and be like, I got 2. Like, you're the only guy in the world that has 2 of them. Fuck y'all. You know, it's like, no, I mean, that's, I would be the nerd billionaire. I seriously would. Like, I'd be the billionaire that all retro gamers aspire to be. They'd be like, of course I'd get a bunch of hate. They'd be like, oh yeah, it must be fucking easy if you got $1 billion to get all the fucking games, Jimbo. And I'd be like, yeah, it is. It's fucking really easy. And you wish you could do it.
That's when you go on to start collecting even better stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like, honestly, dude, the biggest thing I would do if I had that much cash, like, obviously, like, the home space upgrade would be measurable. Like, the home space would be in the 7-figure range. And it'd probably be a separate standing structure. Like, I'd probably buy the neighbor's house and turn that into the arcade. You know, I'd just take what I'm doing now and just be like multi-level, like, instead of Dave and Buster's, it'd be like Jimbo and Tyler's or something, you know? I mean, like, I'd never need to go out to an arcade. I'd be like, why would I go anywhere? I have, like, something better than, like, anyone. You know, fuck that.
I always have, we have these hypotheticals at work.
Yeah.
And especially when they have, like, the big winners of the lottery, you know, like these hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever. Well, we're always like, you know, if you won, would you still work? And some of the girls at work are always like, yeah, I think I'd still come in and work a couple days a week. And I'm like, why? That's why they call it work.
Why?
They don't call it play for a reason. It's called work. And hell no, I'm calling in rich.
Fuck the day yeah, man. I'm calling in billionaire. I mean, it's...
Right.
Dude, it's... Guy, ladies and gentlemen, if any of you out there actually get what you really need out of life, out of your jobs, you know what? That's great. Then you're probably doing something that you love doing, which is fantastic. I mean, that immediately puts you in the top 5% of humanity as far as I'm concerned. But the majority of us out there who have to work wouldn't do it if we were rich. And I'm one of those guys. Like, don't hate my job, but if I had enough money to where I didn't have to work, there is no fucking way I would show up at work the next day. Would I call them and say I'm a billionaire and be like, how about I come down, I'll just buy all you guys like lunch or something. You know, you want to go out to Roost Chris? It's on me. You know, it's all good. But no, it's the only reason I show up is because they're paying me to. That's it.
Right.
And, oh, I'll tell you what, if I had $1 billion, I would make it my personal goal to outshine PewDiePie.
Nice.
I would. I'd be like, you know what? I can outspend him. I'd treat it like a politician in an election. You got 7 million? Pfft. Is that it? Shit. That's for freaking punks, man. Nah, I'd probably go party with him, dude. That'd be all good. One video with him and you're set. So, yeah.
You know, we're speaking of, like, getting whatever you want for your collection.
Shit, yeah.
And there's a YouTuber out there that obviously has, like, unlimited funds, and I'm sure some of our listeners probably know the guy, not personally, but, you know, watch his show. And Jimbo, if you haven't ever seen this guy's channel before, you ought to. The guy lives in Australia. His YouTube channel's name is The Last Gamer, and he just gets whatever he wants. Are you big into pinballs? Do you like pinball games?
I like pinball, yeah.
Well, apparently this guy's like really big into pinballs, so he just had a couple of like shipping containers shipped over from the United States, and we're talking about like hundreds of pinball games.
Oh, he's a multimillionaire. There's no other way.
And I mean, you know, that alone should tell you, because, you know, arcade collecting, like I've owned one machine. Jimbo can tell you a lot better than I can.
I own 8, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, arcade machines aren't cheap, but even to the next level are pinball machines.
Oh, they're 10 times the cost.
Yeah, easily. Like brand new pinball games are like
Oh yeah,
$10,000.
easily.
$10,000 for one,
Uh-huh.
and
The,
especially like the big ones. And he's got like the top 100 pinball games. He's got them, and he probably has like multiple versions, like Medieval Madness, which
oh,
is
that's one of
like a
them.
lot of people's like favorite. Like it tops out number one on a lot of lists. Like he's probably got like one or two of them.
Jesus.
And I mean, I've seen like a ton of other like big ones. Theater of Magic, the Star Trek one, which is pretty big. I mean, just Star Wars, or no, I know he's got the Indiana Jones, but anyways, regardless, this guy's got a ton of stuff, and he has got this room in the back of his house,
Hmm.
and he started off his channel, and it was just like, yeah, I'm updating my game room, and it was like this amazing game room, like better than any game room I've ever seen. And then like a couple weeks later, he's like, yeah, I decided to update my house. He just like knocks down all the walls of his
Nice.
house and and like just expands it and
Yeah.
makes an even bigger game room. And then he did it like again and makes like an upper. So the guy's got an arcade on top of his game room,
Wow.
and he has like every Neo Geo game. I think now some of them are Japanese or whatever,
Uh-huh.
but I mean, it, this guy, like literally, you've got to go out and just see his channel. And I mean, it's retarded. He built his own THX certified movie theater for his house, and he's a
Uh,
big Star Wars collector too. So
what
he
a
has like a
bastard.
whole other. But I mean, this guy literally like every comment on his channel is like, "What the hell do you do for a living?" And I mean, like,
Old money, maybe. And, like his parents were
I don't
wealthy.
know. I don't know how he got it, but like he's got like a Lamborghini.
Oh yeah, this guy's
Well,
worth
he
20
collects
million easy.
he collects cars. I mean, he has like the Ferrari or whatever from what is it, Outrun that has the Ferrari?
He has the
Yeah, I mean,
Testarossa?
yeah.
Nice.
And I mean, it's simply fascinating just to see like what this like that. I love his channel just like because I can't believe what this guy's going to get next.
No shit.
I mean, it literally is fascinating. But
I want
his,
to be him when I grow up.
right, right. But you know, talking about this, like that's how I imagine I would be if
Oh
I like.
fuck
I
yeah!
was-
Like he's the archetype, dude. Like
Right.
it's me with the gloves off. Shit yeah! And I would still be
So-
on. I would still be on YouTube. That I can promise you.
right.
But I wouldn't be
But-
like filming things myself. I wouldn't be editing things myself. I would have a paid fucking staff to do all that shit.
He has that. He has people that work for him that like help him film his episodes and edit it and all that
Oh,
for him. I mean,
fucking
it's beautiful. But like he has a pretty big subscriber base, and
Gee, I
they've
wonder
gotta
why.
be- they've got to be just like me. That basically are like, how in the hell did he get all this stuff? But I mean, it's literally your dream of like having all the money in the world. And, like, what would you spend it on?
That
Yeah. So
and the cars too. I'd be with him. I'd be collecting motorcycles. I mean, dude, guys like toys. It's just if it's
and he
like,
has that. Doesn't Nissan have like a really fast like racing car?
the Skyline.
I think he has one of those. I mean, just
And I can tell you why, because he played Gran Turismo. That's the only reason anyone buys a fucking Skyline, because of that stupid game.
but wow.
Drives me nuts. Yeah, what a bastard. I'm totally fucking hating on him right now. Like, here I was thinking I was, like, king shit with, like, 8 arcade games. And he's like, pfft.
Yeah.
Shut my ass down.
Yeah. You think you have a good game room? Just
Yeah.
go see this guy's and you're like, fuck, I'm just going to quit now.
There's-
Like I'll never touch this.
There's always a guy with more. That's the problem.
But the problem with it, and I think, you know, I can speak to this. Like I do a lot of pickup videos, and I'm going to probably try and slow down on that because it gets to the point where you're collecting stuff instead of actually playing stuff.
Mhm.
And I've got a huge backlog of like stuff in my game room, and I know this guy has been like tearing down his game room and rebuilding it for like 4 years on YouTube, and it's like he probably never gets to enjoy all of his toys, and then it's like, why am I collecting in the first place? And I had one of those moments a couple years ago, and it's just like, I'm buying all these games, but I don't have as much time to play them. So now I'm like trying to, and I don't know how you are, like, on your time schedule. I know you're busy, work and all that, and have a girlfriend and all, but it's hard, managing all that, and then you get a bunch of new games. Like you just bought like what, the Rare Replay and
Hmm.
Gears of War Ultimate. Like
Hmm.
I mean, when are you gonna get time to play all those? Because you're still working on Far Cry, right?
You got to make time. It's just like
Right.
I did. Since you asked, I did have a chance to play a little bit of Zombie Army Trilogy, which for those of you not in the know, is basically a mod to the Sniper Elite series, which I am a fan of. I have several of those games; those are fun, really great co-op games too. And basically, if you can combine the Sniper Elite games with Left 4 Dead, you get Zombie Army Trilogy, where you still have like the X-ray cam and the bullet time and all that shit. It's like the Third Reich. Like it begins with Hitler in the bunker, and his subordinates are sitting there, and they're like, what do we do? We have nothing, no choice but to surrender. And then he basically says like, launch plan so and so, which I guess is to raise the dead or something, because Hitler was big into the occult, which is actually true. So that's Hitler's end game. It's like they have nothing else to lose, so this is their weapon of mass destruction. So you're behind enemy lines, stuck in Nazi Germany at the fall of the Third Reich, and the fucking undead are coming to tear your guts out. And it has 4-player co-op, which is amazing.
Nice.
I haven't played it in co-op; it's just been me. But I mean, it looks great. It plays great. The X-ray cam, dude. This is making me give my Kinect on my Xbox One a workout, because you get so many awesome kills where it slows it down. You see the bullet actually traveling through the body of the zombie that you shot.
I
I
love that.
that's
I love it.
Dude, I got two zombies the other night with one bullet, both with a headshot. It like went through, like, I think it went through one dude's eye, then it came out the back of his head, and you could see the bullet tumble, and it goes into the other guy's mouth and out the back of his head. I was like,
Mm.
Xbox record that. Like it's like this is why the Kinect exists. For shit like this. You don't have to brag about it. You can be like, see, to your friends. So yeah,
There's
have it
nothing
fun.
better than like the bullet time on games like that. You have, I know just two that come right to my mind where you're just like, oh my god, that was awesome. Max Payne 3. I can't tell you how many times I just went back through areas just to kill people
I knew that was
and
coming.
do the bullet time. And then, of course, uh, the Fallout
Oh yeah,
3.
with VATS.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the VATS, like,
that
that
never
was
gets
so
old.
awesome. No, it doesn't.
It never gets old. It really doesn't.
I wonder if it's the same in this Fallout.
Oh,
Are
how
they
could
going
you
to?
not include that?
Because I love that so much, especially when they started like exploding and stuff.
Yeah, it was like,
And it's just like just chunks of body.
I know. That was fucking delicious. Yes.
Oh man! Speaking of Fallout 3, that anthology is coming out at the end of this month. Are you going to pick that up for PC, or do you?
I don't know. Maybe. Like, I think it's cool that they're putting it out. But on the same token, I'm kind of on the fence because I've already given Bethesda like over $100 of my money on a game I haven't even gotten yet. So it's just like the logical side of my brain is like, haven't I paid you fuckers enough? Why isn't that coming with the Pip-Boy edition? But I don't know. I may mull it over or wait for its for sale on Steam or something. And we'll see.
I'm just such a sucker for like the physical editions, and when I saw that Fat Boy container, I was like, man, I've got to get that for the game room.
It
Like
is
that's
kind
gonna
of
look
nice.
so cool on the shelf. But
Agreed.
I'm really looking forward to that. Like that's the big like game I'm really looking forward to for the fall. I think that's going to be the main one I play
Oh,
this
absolutely.
holiday season. That and Star Wars Battlefront, of course.
Absolutely. So I wanted to jump into moving forward, unless you have any other things that are non-gaming, movie, TV related. I
Go
don't.
ahead.
I don't know. I've got a great topic that I'm sure a lot of people have a lot to say about. So, last podcast we covered the pilot episode of Fear the Walking Dead, and if I recall correctly, you and I basically seem to agree that the first hour dragged a little bit. They stepped it up a little bit in the last 30 minutes since it was a 90-minute pilot, and we both kind of came to the realization that since there's only 6 episodes, like things are going to freaking go south in a big hurry. on this show. Like shit's gonna ramp up quick. And in my opinion, episode 2 absolutely proved us correct. Things really got bad really quickly. Not in total. We'll try and keep this as spoiler free as we can for you folks who haven't watched it yet. But they're not in full on apocalypse mode yet. But I will say this. This isn't a real spoiler because you guys have seen this in the previews. Okay, so when they went to the protest, like when they showed that whole thing, do you think that was conceived simply on the level of coincidence, or do you think that was maybe Robert Kirkman offering a little bit of social commentary, as it seemed very relevant to the events that we've been seeing in the past year that have made news headlines? It seemed to almost be ripped straight from the headlines and put on television.
Yeah, I got a little of that flavor from that episode.
Yeah.
I definitely could see the symmetry to stuff that's happening, in America right now.
I think so. It's just it seemed like a really good way for a writer that's as talented as Robert Kirkman to almost editorialize on the world that we live in now. Not really going one way or the other, just more like this is the world we're living in right now. And to be perfectly honest, that's like the people in the crowd, basically protesting the police in that particular scene. That's probably what would happen if something like this went down. Like, they wouldn't believe that, the undead are freaking rising and shit. They'd be like, oh, it's a freaking homeless person, and the cops are like, dude, that's a fucking zombie, like, even though they don't call it that on The Walking Dead, but whatever. So it's, and the whole thing with, it's a bug, people are getting sick and everything like that. And I almost think that it's, in a really weird way, sort of more fun to watch than the actual Walking Dead, because you know more than the characters do. Like when you see somebody laying there sick and they're coughing and shit like that, you know what's going to happen. You know what the end result is. And they don't know that. They just think that it's like a flu bug or something like that. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm just, sick. Oh, flu going around. And you're like, oh, you're fucked, dude. It's very empowering, I think, as a viewer to be actually more aware of the situation than the characters themselves, where unlike in The Walking Dead, Rick and Daryl and everyone, like, I mean, dude, if someone even coughs, freaking Rick will freaking put him down. Like, he doesn't fuck around. So it's, in that respect, it's very different from The Walking Dead, but in a very, very good way. This is definitely its own show, but you can definitely see it existing in the same world. And on top of that, I have a new favorite character. The kid, for those of you who haven't seen it, from the first episode, the one that she confiscates the knife from, is now my favorite character, even though we may never see him again. Because he has, and again, this is not a spoiler, guys, I'll take this out of context. He has one line in the show that I thought perfectly encapsulates the world of The Walking Dead. When she's like, when this blows over, blah, 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 he's like, this doesn't end. And he's right. Like, if some shit like this goes down, it's not going to end. Like, it's going to be like the War on Terror, where we're going to be doing this basically forever, until it's us or them. But that's enough about what I think, man. Give us some feedback from the Bearded Wonder here.
Well, I'm just curious. Did you think about me when Nick started going through his withdrawals this week?
Yes.
I
was like, Tyler's probably like steaming.
I told you.
Yes. Like, it's episode 2 and it's already a fucking problem, Right. But I will say this. Nick, at least in a small way in this episode, redeemed himself a little bit. Like, he showed that he has a little bit more layers than just a regular junkie, Do you think that he staged that little episode to draw his sister back in the house? Because he did say to Mom, I brought her back.
I don't think so. He vomited. So
it looked like he was having a seizure.
Yeah, I think he was having a seizure. So, I mean, I think that was legit. But I agree. Like, the episode was a lot better. Definitely a lot better flow to it, and went a lot faster paced. But I think if I was in that situation, like, the whole time I'm like, get out of the city. Like, why are y'all staying in the city? And then I'm like yelling at the kids, like they're trying to round up the kids, and of course the kids don't want to answer their phone.
No, of course not.
Don't want to go to their parents, so they've got to round them up. And when they're off getting those, another kid wanting to wander away. And I'm frustrated for the group in general, because we know what's about to go down
Uh
in
huh. Oh
that
yeah.
world. And being in a populated city, like, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like that's, um, one of if just hypothetically, if that really did happen, you would want to be in like the least populated area
Oh,
possible,
absolutely,
you know.
absolutely. While we were on
But
the subject, did you hear about the thing that AMC greenlit? There's going to be a 30-minute standalone episode that they say is going to connect The Walking Dead to Fear the Walking Dead.
oh, okay, that'll be cool.
It's basically focuses on a flight where we have an outbreak happen in flight.
Oh,
And
nice.
some they haven't really said what, but they said there's a character in it that's basically going to bridge the gap, so to speak, between the two
Between the
shows.
two,
I think that's
well, that'll be
awesome
cool.
that they're thinking outside the box in that particular capacity because it's like I don't know how that's going to work because chronologically the two shows are like at least a year I would think apart, maybe two.
Right.
I don't know how long Rick and his gang have been out there in the wilderness, but I would be amazed if even in TV time it's been less than a year because they've been out there for a long time doing all this shit. So I mean, and we don't did they ever really say how long Rick was in the coma? I mean, I would think it would at least be a couple of months.
Yeah, I want to say it was like either weeks or like a month.
Yeah,
It was in, but it had to be long enough to for I guess the wife to start cheating on him with
I know. Whore.
Shane. So,
She went over to the Punisher, that bitch. So yeah, I don't
but
know. I
yeah, I mean,
guess
I would think it. I think at least a month or 2 months
at
probably.
least. I mean, because when he got out there, dude, the world was fucked. I mean,
Right.
like it's gonna take more than a couple of weeks for that to happen. I mean, the town was basically abandoned. I mean, it's shit. I mean, he was in Atlanta. That's not a sparsely populated city. That's a
Right.
very populated city. So it's I don't know. I'm thinking 2 3 months.
That was such a good pilot. I remember,
Oh yeah.
when he first escaped and all that, and he came across the zombie, kind of dragging herself across the park, and
Yep.
it was so um, cerebral. Just thinking about what would you do? Would you have pity on this person that clearly wasn't in control of herself and all that? And he went up to her and apologized that that had happened to her, and he's changed so much as a character in the whole series, and
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting, the metamorphosis that his character has gone through over the entire course of the series.
War hardens you, buddy, and they're fighting a fucking war. So,
Right.
but in the realm of TV and movie news, they announced the official teams for the upcoming Captain America Part 3 Civil War, one of my favorite storylines pretty much ever in comic books. Some are arguing that it's a little unevenly stacked. I would disagree with that, actually. I'd say it's actually pretty close to even. So, pro registration, you've got, if memory serves, we have Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, War Machine, Black Widow, Vision, and who am I leaving out?
Let me see.
Not Thor, not the Hulk.
Was Ant-Man on that team?
He's on the other team.
Okay.
At least that's what we think. Because he and Falcon kind of had a bromance going in Ant Man. But I know I'm leaving out
Oh
one
yeah,
person.
true, true.
I don't remember who it is, but that's the main gist of it right there. And then on Captain America's side, which is the anti-registration side, we have Cap, Winter Soldier, Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye, and
Wait,
probably
War
Ant-Man.
Machine's on one of them, isn't he?
Yeah, I mentioned him. He's on Tony Stark's side.
Okay, okay.
Um, I think I'm forgetting someone on Captain's side, but that's the gist of it. Some people think like, all right, they've got Vision, they're gonna win. Well, dude, Cap's got the Scarlet Witch, man. I mean,
What about Black Panther? Was he on?
thank you. Yes, he's on Iron Man's side. That's who I was forgetting. So, people were arguing that it's unevenly stacked because they've got Vision and he's like the supreme power. Well, guys, the Scarlet Witch can literally think someone out of existence if she concentrates hard enough. I mean, she's like one of the most dangerous people to be around. Like, I mean, her and Professor X are pretty much the two most powerful mutants like ever. Because they don't even need to move. They can just like do some Jedi shit and then your DNA gets erased or something. So, some footage leaked. I'm sure you can go online and check it out. Just very brief stuff showing the two groups together. Nothing really revealing, but you did get a pretty good shot at Black Panther's outfit, and he does look pretty cool. It looks, I don't know, like it doesn't exactly look like armor, even though it's, I guess that's what it is, since his suit is some kind of weave of vibranium and almost like a Kevlar kind of mesh that he wears. So it looks more like a Spider-Man type suit, even though it's like as hard or harder than Iron Man's armor, since it's made of Wakandan vibranium, which is like in the comics. I'm totally nerding right now. Wakandan vibranium is like the purest vibranium in the world. Um, I'm sure a lot of you seen the picture where they show Cap's shield gets scratched. I can guarantee you that that's the Black Panther doing that, because not all vibranium is created equal. He's got like super vibranium, like vibranium that eats other vibranium. So this should be a really interesting episode, I think, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and make a prediction. I think Vision is going to switch sides. I think he'll be the trump card that switch sides at the end, because if you remember in the Avengers 2, they ask him whose side is on, and he says very clearly, I'm on the side of humanity. You know, I'm on the side of life. And I think that he's going to see the error in Tony Stark's team ways and be like, this is wrong. You know, I can't support this. And he'll kick over to the other team. And then the next thing you know, oh, Thanos is here. Here we go. Avengers 3, rock and roll. So, very excited for that, man. Yeah, I'm stoked.
What did you think about the news of Man of Steel 2
Being pushed back.
supposedly being on? Well, it's on permanent hold. Like, what's the story with that? Did you look
Um,
into it? And I
yeah.
couldn't like get like the website I was on. It kind of looked suspect. I didn't know if it was like an official word on that. But I mean, that seems to me like it'd be a no brainer unless they're like having problems with the story or
I,
something. You know?
well, the thing is, Man of Steel 2, I think at the very least would probably take place after the two Justice League movies, or at least after one of them. So they may just be having trouble saying, like, okay, where do we go from here? You know, we brought the Justice League together to fight probably Darkseid, I would imagine, as the villain. Um, you know, what do we do after that? Like, where would the other team, where would the team members be after that? I mean, granted, it is Superman, but it's probably a story thing, or maybe just a scheduling thing where they're like, how does this fit into things? But ladies and gents, it's never really truly a bad thing, in my opinion, to push things back. I think the opposite is true. I think when they push things forward, then you should be concerned, because then it seems like a cash grab. If they're pushing things back, to me, that implies they want to get it right. And apparently, excuse me, they screened some test footage of, or not some test footage, but a print of Batman vs Superman for the Warner's execs, and they were apparently so blown away by what they saw. Like, they were so jazzed that they were just like, "There's no way the Avengers is going to keep up with this kind of thing. Like, we've got our tentpole, man. Like, the odds are now fucking stacked evenly." That they're ramping up the other stuff in the DCU. You know, Aquaman. You know, the Wonder Woman movie. Like, they're just like, we need to crank this shit out. So I think that a lot of the haters and a lot of the retractors of Zack Snyder handling of his handling of Man of Steel, I think based upon what's being let out so far, we can't say until we see the movie, but I think he will redeem themselves, at least in those people's eyes. He has nothing to redeem with me. I think he handled it fine, but I really think that he's going to get this right. I really do. I think this is going to be an awesome movie.
Like we've stated before, I just don't get the hate that
I
he
don't get it
gets.
either.
Like Man of Steel was so good, and one thing that I love
I love how you
about
say that.
DC,
So, matter of fact, like,
it
Man of Steel was so good. Like, fuck
it
y'all.
was right. But one thing I love, about DC is it's such like a darker universe. It
Sure.
seems just grittier to me. And I one thing that they do need to take a page out of Marvel's book is they need to have that overall plan, like they're building to something huge.
Sure.
And I really can't say enough about the Disney and Marvel people. Just I know Disney owns Marvel, but um, Kevin Feige, who runs everything at Marvel, he just had this great vision.
Hmm.
I'm sure along with other people that helped him, but to build the foresight to do all these separate properties
Hmm.
and to have stages and to build up to like one epic movie, I mean, that takes incredible planning. I
Sure.
just can't, take my hat off enough to him, just to, be able to bring that together. But I mean, it's working to me, and especially with Civil War coming out, and
Hmm.
Civil War almost is like its own little Avengers type build up.
It is.
I mean, it's its own monster. And then, of course, I don't know when's the last Avengers supposed to come out.
It's the two-part movie that should
Oh,
be,
it is two parts.
yeah, the Infinity War, basically part one and two. So that is not going to be next year. That'll be the year after. And I
Okay,
think they're getting released in the same year, if I remember right. Like one at the beginning, one at the end of the year. So because obviously they're going to shoot them back to back. But
right.
yeah, no, it's a very smart move on Marvel's part, and I think that DC, after a couple of missteps, although I couldn't call the Dark Knight trilogy missteps, those were all pretty fucking good movies, but
Oh yeah.
I think they saw the writing on the wall and they're like, people like shared universes. If nothing else, their DC's efforts in television have shown that they have embraced that because they're doing it more than Marvel is. All of their shows are connected, and they're putting out more shows just to make the those same connections. So I think they get it that people like crossovers and stuff, and I just think it's so funny that a concept that was basically invented by comic books. Where you have a character from this comic book coming over to this comic book, and they all kind of exist in this shared universe that any comic book fan know. Like, they can show up at any time. Pop culture itself seems to be adopting that. And I'm not just talking about comic book movies. I'm talking about like television shows and stuff. I mean, they're crossing Bones and Sleepy Hollow. I don't know how the fuck that's working, but I mean, they're just doing all this stuff where it just seems like they're following the formula that guys like Stan Lee and Dan DiDio, over at DC, just kind of championed, and have done so for so long. I think that's so awesome that the comic books is no longer looked at as like a child's thing. It's actually more in the realm of adult. I honestly don't know that many kids that read comics. It's primarily grown-ups. And the writers who come up with this stuff, guys like Robert Kirkman, for example, are being dignified with the respect that they deserve as artists, as real writers, as real talented writers. Just because they write a comic book doesn't mean that it takes any absence of literary skill. It definitely takes the same amount of skill as writing a book because you're writing a narrative. You have character development, you have plot synthesis. I mean, all these things that are part of any part of literature. Each of these comic book writers have to adopt. And the handling of these big events, like every year DC does a big event, Marvel does a big event. They'll do like a big crossover kind of thing, involving all their characters and shit. That takes a lot of planning. You get like a writer's room and shit. They all got to get together, get the story straight, and I'm just really really glad that it's finally getting the respect that it deserves. That these underdogs in the writing business are now like the thing. These guys are getting money thrown at them to do projects. So bravo, the rest of the world, for finally catching up with us geeks, and we fucking told you so. So thank you.
Staying in the movie realm, did you by any chance see the pictures of Michael Fassbender as the Assassin's Creed?
I did, and he's a fucking rock and roll star, man. There's like no two ways about that. Like this dude is gonna become a nerd icon, I think. I mean, we haven't seen the movie, so we don't really know. But dude, costume wise, fucking nailed it. I mean, like
Yeah, that it was
they didn't
spot
really
on.
change anything. Like it's a little bit darker than some of the other ones. I know most of them go with a little bit of lighter color, although it has changed in certain of the games. But if I remember correctly, he's in Spain this time. I think he's visiting one of his Spanish ancestors. But according to the guys at Ubisoft, this is going to fall in line with the continuity of the games, meaning they've already established that with the movie studio.
See, this is one I enjoyed the Assassin's Creed series,
Hmm.
but to me the story has just gotten so convoluted with the going back in time and all that.
Hmm.
And that's it's like I think the character himself is so cool without doing the memories and all that. I just think that's going to be too hard for people to follow. and maybe just if they base the character or the story around that character back in, that point in time, maybe like the beginning of the Assassin's Guild or whatever,
Hmm.
and the Templars and whatnot. I think that would be a better movie. What do you think? Do you like the story as it sits in the
Um,
game? Do you think it'll translate well to movie or?
I do actually, because if nothing else, the way that the game story is structured, it's almost like Hollywood came up with it because it has like sequels built into it. Because if you take into effect that the main guy, played by Michael Fassbender, is like in either now or in the future, and he's basically sitting in the fucking Matrix chair, jumping back in time into this VR version of history, and he's in a bloodline, this really long, 1,000-year-old bloodline of assassins, and he can jump into any of them at any point. Um, I mean, you've got a minimum of three movies there if it succeeds, because it could be three different ancestors of his in three completely different time periods, much like the video game series works. So honestly, I don't think that the audience is going to have a hard time swallowing this simply because we've already seen The Matrix. I mean, this is basically like, I think, a more imaginative version of The Matrix because instead of there just being a virtual world, there's a virtual world, but it's based on history. It's kind
Yeah,
of merging those two things together. So I think it's like, not to take away from the Matrix guys, I'm giving it all the credit in the fucking world here, but it's kind of like taking that next step and be like, all right, where would we go after that? Like instead of just creating a virtual world, why wouldn't we just recreate history? Which a lot of people have guessed is going to be the future of virtual reality. Like 100 years from now, you'll put on your goggles or lay in the Matrix chair, so to speak, and they'll have complete recreations of history. Like you want to go to the Renaissance, you want to go see the French Revolution or something, you want to go see the Civil War. I mean, you can go to any of these points in times and just kind of walk around in the world and observe. So I don't know, man. I think it definitely speaks to the generation that we live in now with the Oculus Rift and the way the technology is going. I don't think that this is that far fetched at all. I think that this is the general direction, probably 50 to 60 years behind it, but I think this is the way the technology is heading. And dude, Fassbender's gonna kill it. I mean, they didn't even leave out the blades, dude. He had the fucking double blades. I was like, dude, these guys
yeah,
have done their homework. Like this might shut all those assholes up who say you can't make a good video game movie. Bullshit. You can with Assassin's Creed. You can with the right video game. That's the problem. Like trying to make Super Mario Bros. In a movie is fucking stupid. That would make a dumb movie. Mortal
right.
Kombat made a good movie. Like I think that's like the one exception. That wasn't a bad movie. It should have been rated R, but things like that. And by the way, did you see that thing where that guy drew that parallel between Mortal Kombat and Enter the Dragon, saying that they're basically the same movie?
Yeah, I
I
did.
said that exact same thing 10 years ago. I was like, this is Enter the fucking Dragon. It's the same plot. Not that that's a bad thing, but I was like, wow, like, why didn't I put out a video about this? Shit. I remember seeing that when I first saw it. I was like, this sounds really familiar. But no, I mean, dude, ladies and gentlemen, you can make a good video game movie. You honestly can. I really and truly believe that. I think it's very hard, and I think you have to pick the right video game. Like BioShock, for example, would make a fucking amazing movie. I mean, like that
Yeah,
that would
that
be
for sure
very
would.
Halo would make a great movie because dude, Halo's like the Star Wars of video games. It's this giant universe like encompassing this huge kind of civil war, so to speak, between two sides. There is no way you could not make a good Halo movie. I mean, could you potentially make a bad one? Yeah, if you don't give a shit. But dude, with $200 million and the right guy running the ship, you could make a kick-ass Halo movie. It would be like 3 hours long. We'd never see Master Chief's face. They'd get the original dude to do the fucking voice, and it would just be a guy in a suit. Get the guy who played him in Forward Until Dawn, which was Colossus, I think. Just get a guy in a suit. It doesn't matter. We don't need to see his face. We don't need to know who he is. He doesn't need a personality. He just needs to be Master Chief. That's all we want. Besides, if he takes off his helmet, we all know it's going to be fucking Chuck Norris. That's the only way that he could be that badass.
We could have gotten that movie, but I don't know if it was Bungie or Microsoft, but they had their hands so far into it that basically the movie studio just walked away and was like,
I know. And Neil Blomkamp was going to do it, and like,
oh, and he's amazing. I love his work. I mean, he does some of the greatest visuals
he does.
in all of movies right now. I mean, just some of the explosions and stuff like
I
that. I
know.
mean, it's just ridiculous. And he famously made District 9 on
Yes.
like a tiny budget, with thrown together props that were going to be used for the Halo movie,
Yep.
and and it was a blockbuster success.
Hmm.
And he did that with nothing. And of course, he did like Elysium, and I don't know if you have seen this or not, but Chappie,
I
which came
haven't.
out in the past year, and it is incredibly good. Has Hugh Jackman in it,
Hmm.
and basically, and it also has the guy from Million Dollar.
Slumdog Millionaire.
Slumdog Millionaire,
Yep.
yeah, not Million Dollar Baby, but yeah. But anyways, like he creates like artificial intelligence,
Hmm.
and the same guys like created these robots that basically like police all of South Africa
Hmm.
from the gangs or whatever, and he creates AI and he puts it into one of the robots, and it's evolves over time, and it's just interesting to see. Um, and the guy's just a visionary
Sure.
director. In my opinion, he's one of the best up and coming directors I think out there, and I believe he's directing a Aliens
Alien
prop.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a big fan of the franchise, man. So I think it's in good hands.
yeah. So I can't wait to see what he does. With Aliens,
It's gonna be awesome. It is. I don't know how
and
they're gonna do it with Sigourney Weaver and Michael Biehn at this stage, but whatever. Yeah,
right,
Neil Blomkamp can figure it out. He's fucking brilliant.
and they've basically, I believe, said that they're going to basically ignore Aliens 3 and Aliens 4.
Resurrection. Good.
Yeah,
Those movies sucked ass anyway, so who gives?
basically those never happened.
Two was the
Uh,
best movie, man. All the
oh
people are
yeah,
like, "Oh, David Fincher's fucking brilliant." You know what? You know who's better than David Fincher? Jim Cameron. Name one fucking bad movie he has ever made. Doesn't exist. Oh wait,
yeah.
I take that back. Piranha 2, his first movie. Yeah, that was a shitty movie, but that wasn't
I
his
wasn't a
movie.
fan of I wasn't a fan of Titanic, but I can see where
Dude,
people like that.
it was the biggest movie of all time. You can't call it.
Until
You cannot
until
call it a shitty
until
movie.
Avatar,
I know. Yeah, and he broke his own
which
record.
he directed. So
So it's all right. Is Titanic a freaking non-cheesy movie? No. Is it a bad movie? Absolutely not. That is a fucking cinematic achievement. I mean, the shit that he did in that movie, no one's ever gonna do again. No one will ever let a filmmaker, probably except him, ever do what he did in that movie. Like building a full-size replica of the Titanic and shit, like all the crap that he went through for that. No, that was, yeah. I mean, did DiCaprio and Kate Winslet kind of like romance it up and take it all? But guys, you get 45 minutes of the ship getting fucked up. Like shit goes down for the last third of the movie. That's the only part I want. I'll fast forward through the rest of the crap. It's like, all right, oh, here we go. Ship's breaking in half. Ha ha ha. Here we go. But it's no. I cannot call that a bad movie. It's not his best movie, but it is. It is no way, dude. His worst movie is better than some people's best movie. I
oh, I
mean,
know, and I
that's
mean
why he takes forever to make a movie because he's like, I don't want to make a shitty movie. I want to make a good movie.
and I saw here recently where I think he pushed back maybe the Avatar
Yeah.
movies. Just I guess he's creating a bigger world and all that. So that ought to be interesting to see. I know Avatar has a lot of people that hate it just because, or hate on it. I will say
Yeah.
just because the parallels it draws to like Dances with Wolves, but because I mean it's basically the same story,
Mm.
but set in a sci-fi universe. But
With blue
I
monkeys.
love I love the universe he created. I think
Sure.
it's at least the creatures are very original and all that, and I think that that was really one of those like watershed moments in movies because that's really what made 3D a big
Absolutely.
phenomenon. But it's sad that he put so much work into 3D, and basically everybody went back to like the shitty form of 3D. Like
Hmm.
I mean, if you watch that in 3D, like it had like some of the coolest effects. Like you could actually see things had depth on the screen,
Hmm.
and it wasn't just this like pop up book form of 3D in the
Sure.
movies because that's a lot of times I won't even watch 3D movie because of that. But
Right.
he definitely is an innovator, and I'm interested to see how these next Avatar movies are going to be. Is there going to be three of them total, or is it four?
I think it's 4. I think he said he's doing 3 more.
Jesus, he's gonna be working on that till he dies.
Probably. This will probably be his last movie.
I mean, he's doing 3 more of them.
I think they're shooting them back to back. Like I think they're doing at least 2 of them in a row because they're going to keep them out there for like a year. But if you ask me, ladies and gentlemen, like James Cameron is probably like this perfect world hypothesis where if George Lucas and Steven Spielberg had a baby, it would probably be James Cameron because he has the directing talent of Steven Spielberg, but he has the imagination of George Lucas. You know, you put those 2 guys together, you basically have the ultimate film director because they've got the creativity, but they've also got the leadership, you know, to keep the ship on a straight and narrow course and not get too egotistical about their own fucking story and Power of Myth and, you know, Jar Jar Binks and all that fucking terrible shit. So, yeah, James Cameron, legendary director. There's no doubt in anyone's mind that he will go down in the all-time greats. Like, there will be a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Oscars named after him. I can guarantee you that.
I also saw in the movie news this week that Borderlands. I don't know if you're a fan of that series.
I am.
Borderlands is getting a movie.
Yeah, remember we were talking about you know, movies that would make or video games that would make good movies. This isn't fucking one of them. So, not to mention, guys, what the hell is with the Borderlands crap recently? It's like, you want to talk about the best example of how to kill a franchise when you're giving us so much so fast. You're not letting us wait. You know, I mean, they're just cranking out Borderlands shit like over and over and over again. And dude, I played through Borderlands 2 several times. Is it a good game? Yeah. Would it make a good movie? In my opinion, no. Like the whole thing with vault hunting and shit, that's too video gamey. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe some really imaginative dude is going to come along and make like an incredibly freaking amazing movie. And I can tell you the poster will have the guy like, you know, the freaking, the berserker, not the berserker, the psycho or whatever they call those things. Yeah, that'll be the poster. But I don't see that translating very well. And quite frankly, I'm getting sick of Borderlands.
There's a lot of those post-apocalyptic worlds now. I mean, maybe not in franchise form, you know, but here in the past 10 years, we've had like Book of Eli. We've had what's some more? Resident Evil. Yeah, that. And also, oh crap! Mad Max, of course, just came out on DVD this week. You know, and to me, like it would be like a weaker form of Mad Max.
It's so obvious that that's what it's based on.
Yeah. And I think they're probably playing off the success that Mad Max had, probably.
Which I simply don't understand. I feel like I'm the only guy in the world who was not that impressed by Fury Road, and I'm a Mad Max fan. I really am, dude. The Road Warrior is probably one of my favorite movies ever, and it's like, okay, this is a remake of the Road Warrior with less dialogue, a worse plot, and
it did have limited dialogue, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of like a throwback to 80s action.
On that level, yeah. Like, I mean,
and that's cool? Something that we don't see, you know, here.
No, you're right. On that level, you know, was it impressive that they're doing the stunts for real? You know, they're actually out there flipping cars and shit. Like, they're not cheating with CGI. They're doing it legit every single time. I think that's fucking awesome that they did that. But much like a Michael Bay movie with like 8 million explosions, does that make a good movie? No, it doesn't. I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, you went out and did all these cool stunts. That's awesome. I give you all the fucking credit in the world for having the balls to do that. I mean, this must have been a massive undertaking. But it's the same fucking story, dude. It is literally the same story as every Mad Max movie. Like, I get that they're all supposed to be standalone. George Miller has said that. He wants them to be like James Bond movies, where each one is a standalone Mad Max story. Okay, that's cool. I have no problem with that. But how often or how many times is Mad Max going to fall for the same bullshit line of the promised land's out there? We've been 4 movies and he hasn't fucking found it yet. It's like, is he really this stupid? Like, it's like, it's out there. Dude, Max, listen to me, buddy. It doesn't exist. It's gone. I fucking promise you.
They had water where he was at. They could have made that.
Why would you go anywhere then?
To whatever they wanted to.
Let me go into the desert where there isn't any water. I mean, it's like, what the... God, dude, to me, that's thinking that the audience is stupid. Like, if this was the first movie of its kind, I'll tell you what, if Road Warrior and Thunderdome hadn't happened, we'd only had the first Mad Max, and this was like a sequel, like umpteen years later, would I have been pressed? Absolutely, dude. This would have knocked my socks off. I would have been like, "This is how you do a fucking sequel, man!" Like, but the Road Warrior, no. It's like that. I was like, no, you're not gonna make a better movie than that. Thunderdome was okay, but no, you can't top the Road Warrior, dude. Not, dude. It even begins the same way. He's driving in his car, and what happens? The Interceptor gets fucked up. It's I'm like, really? Like, is George Miller that out of ideas? But I mean,
speaking of the Road Warrior, I actually picked it up on Blu-ray the other day from Walmart, which has a ton of. I don't know. Do you ever go to Walmart in your area? Do you
I
have
live in
one?
America, dude. Of course I do.
Okay. Well, some people don't like going to Walmart, but I love sifting through their it's like $5 or $6 bin of DVDs,
Sure.
you know, and they just have this smorgasbord of all kinds of different stuff.
Sure.
And so I found some like great deals this week. I found Road Warrior, and I also picked up it's like a 3-pack of Marvel animated movies. It's Thor, Invincible Iron Man, and the next Avengers.
Nice.
I picked that up for like $6 or $7, and it includes the digital copies. So, I mean, you can't beat that for that cheap. But yeah, I've been in the mood to watch some old movies here lately.
Oh yeah.
Especially like '80s movies, and that kind of gets me like on a rant. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and I don't know if you have any buddies that you talk to that just are kind of clueless on like '80s movies, but
Oh sure.
we were talking about fantasy movies the other day, and our buddy had never seen Legend.
Oh God. And I knew you were gonna say that, by the way.
And I was like, dude, how have you never seen Legend? And, you know, it's something that I see like more and more in like the people that are in their like younger 20s. Like, they are missing out on some of like the best TV, you know,
And movies.
and movies. And I don't think he'd ever seen like Conan the Barbarian. Like,
Oh
how
my
can,
God.
I mean, these are like staples. Blade
I think
Runner,
so.
he had never seen. Like, these are staples of like our youth,
Mhm.
and there ought to be like a prerequisite. You know, for before you can watch these movies, you need to go back through this. I mean, it ought to be like a high school course where you have like standard watching, you know, over the course of the summer, you know, to before you can graduate high school, because these kids are missing out on some of the key knowledge in pop culture, you know.
I think so.
I mean,
Oh,
I
you
was-
little kids! We're getting old. Holy shit.
I know. I know, and I was just like, I was disgusted. I was like, dude, you need to watch that, and you need to watch it like yesterday.
Yeah. That's a freaking good movie. I think that's probably my favorite Ridley Scott movie. I think that's very underrated in my opinion.
Yeah, and he there's like so many like cool backstories. You ought to really check out the commentary on Legend, because like I know like in the middle of like filming, like Tom Cruise's dad died, and like
Whoa.
they had like all these big things happen in the movie, like production, where it almost like derailed the entire movie. Like their studio burned down
Holy shit.
during during the making of the movie, and it messed up like part of the set and everything. So
Wow.
it's really interesting, like, you know, finding out some of the backstories of those movies.
Nice. I need to
But,
watch that one. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, I've got the Ultimate Edition on Blu-ray, but you know, that's one that you ought to pick up. I think you can find fairly cheap for your Laserdisc collection.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Oh, no. Anything from that era of movies, I'm in.
Yeah.
I gotta have it.
Speaking of Laserdisc, do you have a Laserdisc of the week?
That's a nice segue. We normally do this at the end, but fuck it. We'll go ahead and do it now. You know what?
Hey,
You know,
we're
gonna
talking
give-
about Laserdisc. Just
All right, we're gonna give you two.
all out.
Because we didn't do it last time, we fucked up. So we're gonna give you two. This is gonna be like the mid pod Laserdisc. We're gonna give you a bonus one at the end.
All right.
So, since we're in the realm of fantasy, it's funny you should mention that. And Tyler does not know what I'm about to see. This, in my opinion, is one of the greatest fantasy movies ever made, and probably the director's finest achievement. The
I love
Dark,
the dark.
the Dark Crystal, ladies and gentlemen, by
Nice.
the late great Jim Henson. A fucking basically Jim Henson is George Lucas with puppets. You know, this dude is a fucking like just like one of the most imaginative guys to ever walk the earth.
And he's from Mississippi. Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, it's. I mean, dude, he brought the Ninja Turtles to life and made it totally believable, and it still looks way better than that piece of shit CG crap that they put out
Oh
last year.
yeah, those Ninja Turtles were terrible.
They look stupid as shit. I want to see guys in suits. I don't want to see CG Ninja Turtles, and they're not supposed to be like fucking 7 feet tall. That's stupid. They're supposed to be like 5 feet tall. Anyways, The Dark Crystal, ladies and gentlemen. If you've never seen it, it's like an epic. Like, you have to remind yourself when you're watching it that none of what you are seeing is CG. Some of it is blue screen, but guys, every little bit of this is old school practical effects and puppets. Even things that are like 20 and 30 feet tall, all of these things are done legit. You know, there's no wires or anything. Like, they somehow trick you into thinking that this isn't a puppet. It's just one of those movies that we're never going to see a movie like that again. And that's very fucking sad.
Speaking of fantasy, this past week I guess it was at the end of last week. I was reading an article on it was like Gizmodo or Kotaku,
Mhm.
and they were like going over the 10 most rare board games in the world or whatever.
Okay.
And on the list was this board game called The Dark Tower.
I played it.
And you've played it,
Yeah,
the
I
Milton
played
Bradley
it.
game?
A guy I knew had it.
Well, this week I went out on
Oh, did you find it?
eBay. I found it on eBay.
Nice.
I got a really good deal, and this thing is like in like
Wow.
perfect shape. It looks like it was never played. And
Awesome.
for those of you who don't know, it had like a really limited run
Yeah.
on this game because apparently like Milton Bradley just stole the like idea for the tower
Mhm.
from these like brothers, I guess, that, or maybe it was a random guy that made the tower in this game, and they just like stole the guy's idea, and I think he sued them and they had to stop production on the game. But it actually has a tower that does like all your movements, and it has like graphics that light up and stuff, so like the tower is central to the actual board, and
Right.
you're trying to unlock the tower and get inside. But really unique game, and I was just like looking at it this week, and when it came in, and just great shape. I can't wait to play this. I'm a huge fan of board games, and I was just going through a lot of the board games, from our childhood. There's several like that I want to play. There was a one that came out, I guess, in the early '90s called Fireball Island. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Remember the commercials for it?
That one looks really fun. I'd love to get that. That was actually on the top 10 list too for most rare board games. And there was one. There was one that was so ridiculous. It was called like the uh, conquering of like North Africa or something. And they said that it comes with like 3 huge tombs, and it takes like 1,500 hours to play with like
Wow.
2 or 3 groups of 5 people.
Wow.
And I was just like, who would play that? Like, because anybody completed one game of that, but that was on the list. But I would love to get Fireball Island. It just got me like looking online for like some of those games from our childhood. Like, I know another one was like Shark Attack. Do you remember you had the pieces and the shark would come behind you to like gobble up your pieces?
Yep.
And then there was one, I can't remember the name of it. It was like a bridge, and there was like an idol at the end, and the whole purpose of the game was to get across like the bottom and go walk across the bridge. And if you did something, you'd have to hit the idol, and it would shake the bridge and knock your pieces off.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah,
That
like
sounds
I had to
familiar.
watch the commercial. And of course, you can find like a lot of these old commercials on YouTube. Thank
Sure.
God people upload those. But it really just got that nostalgia, for playing old board games. So
Awesome.
that was the big pickup for the week.
Well,
So
that's nice, man. You're like sharing in the pickup glory here. You have an equally nerdy hobby, which is kind of
right,
equalizing me. That's awesome.
but
Nerd Nirvana.
one thing
We was
I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
was, what do you think about this Nintendo NX talk about not having a optical drive? Do you think that they're going to? It's either, and I don't know if it's necessarily the NX. It could be like, a discless Wii U, or maybe they're. Well, I don't think they would ever go back to any form of cartridge. But what do you think about the new Nintendo system possibly being having no disc?
I guess I've got two basic thoughts about that. One, it's not all that surprising given that things like Steam and the Steam box, exist. It's digital, I think, is kind of inevitable, guys. It's not gonna take over as the dominant format of how we consume our media for a while, but it's I think it's inevitable that that's going to come. I think there will still be tangible media in niche things, in niche little markets where people just like to have it, but at the same time, it's cheaper. I mean, they don't have to have factories pressing out games. You can get them faster. You don't have to leave your house. I mean, you can literally get it in the first 10 seconds that it's released. So there's definitely some argument to be made for the convenience factor. However, Nintendo of all people, I don't think should lead this pack for one simple reason. Nintendo games are like Harley Davidson motorcycles. They depreciate very slowly, meaning the Wii U games are probably almost going to hold their value indefinitely. I'm thinking that that's going to be a very highly collectible system someday, if not very, very soon, simply because there's not a huge library. Like, it's very attainable to get that entire thing. Some people were actually already getting close. So, because there wasn't much third-party support for it, so you're really only after the Nintendo titles. And even, some of the first-party titles that were released for the Wii U have almost not gone down in price. Super Mario 3D World and stuff is still, you can't get it for less than 40-45 bucks. I mean, even used, you're still going to pay that much because it's a Nintendo game, man. I mean, these guys basically popularized video game collecting. Their thing. They should be the champions of physical media. I mean, they're the people making amiibos, so they're kind of holding us, into physical media. So it could it be something else? We don't know for sure that it's the Nintendo NX. Could it be something entirely different? Yes, it's absolutely possible. I guess if it is the NX, I'm not going to be that surprised. I don't think it's a very smart move for Nintendo, but I guess we're going to have to see. I know that Nintendo knows what they're up against, that they need a success this time. Like, this needs to happen. Like, I'm not talking like threat of bankruptcy or anything like that. I mean, they could quit doing consoles altogether and just do the fucking DS, and they'd still be one of the most profitable companies in the world. But as far as consoles, man, they need a home run. Like, they really need something big. Not necessarily like bigger than the Xbox or the PlayStation, but they definitely need to compete. So I guess we'll see, man. I'm going to reserve my judgment. I'm just going to wait and see what happens and hope that they've got their heads far enough out their ass to know what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they're going to do. I just, as a collector, I hate seeing the end of
Hmm.
physical media, but I mean, we all know it's eventually going to go to that.
Yeah, it sucks,
Um,
but it's a
I'd
reality.
like us to eventually, talk sometime about the retro VGS console that they're talking about putting out, because I think that'll scratch a lot of collectors,
Oh, absolutely.
backs and in that area that were especially where they want physical games still, and I think that's going to be a neat system when that comes out. But we'll save that for a later date.
Sounds good to me. So while we're on the subject of Nintendo, their latest magnum opus, Super Mario Maker, which I have not picked up yet, but I'm looking forward to playing just to make levels to infuriate everyone I know. And also because it'll make really funny YouTube videos. So a lot of people have been live streaming that through the newly announced, also on a related topic, YouTube gaming site. Like they've got a separate site basically if you'd like to stream games. I mean, it's basically YouTube's answer to Twitch, which we all knew was coming. You know, any of us in the YouTube circle, it was inevitable. Twitch was taking way too much of their market share. So, Super Mario Maker, as it turns out, is throwing up some really odd copyright strikes left and right. One of the more notable ones, I think I read on Kotaku, was this guy got a copyright strike from Playboy on a Super Mario Maker video, and he was like, "What the fuck is this?" He's like, "What does Playboy have to do with Nintendo?" And it turns out the Playboy, who has their own YouTube channel, put up a video with the exact same name as this guy, and because, well, it's Playboy and they're going to side with the big shot, they immediately hit this guy with a copyright strike. But to be fair, Playboy took immediate action and they got the copyright strike removed, and apparently they and YouTube are on the watch for this, and they're being as proactive as they can be to try and remove these. So since the YouTube gaming thing is so new, you know, you're going to have little problems like this, you know, because this is a new venture for them and they can only test it so much. You know, a lot of people would argue, like, you know, why wasn't this covered in alpha? Why wasn't this covered in beta? Guys, they're exposing this to the world's largest audience. You cannot test for everything. Like, sooner or later, you got to kick the bird out of the fucking nest and be like, let's see what happens. You know, we're just going to deal with it as it comes. But, and we're also talking about, you know, Nintendo and a Mario game. I mean, yeah, it's shit is going to happen, and they're just going to have to do their best to rectify it retroactively. See what I did there? But it's you know, it's let's just hope that they have the wherewithal to keep being proactive about this and try and keep all their ducks in a row so that people aren't afraid of live streaming this stuff. I haven't personally messed with it. I am looking forward to doing that for all of you fans, or all of you listeners, viewers. I don't want to call you guys fans of my YouTube channel for Retro Game Lounge. That is pretty much what I'd always envisioned from the beginning, was to make Retro Game Lounge a live show. But we started that before Twitch really even existed, so this was kind of my end game, you know, to be able to do this live on the air, interact with you guys, and it actually be more like a television show than something pre-recorded. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. I do have some hesitance about doing it through YouTube specifically, because if you get, even if it's erroneous, 3 copyright strikes, you're out. You know, your YouTube channel basically gets shut down pending investigation. The upside to that is if you want to do it through the standalone gaming site, that is completely unconnected to your YouTube account, meaning it's a completely standalone account, which is good because I can go on there, and if I get a strike, I can be like, well, fuck it, I'll just create another account. But at the same time, I'm not going to reach the audience that I want to reach. And somehow I don't think like guys like PewDiePie are running into those barriers. I think YouTube is probably bending over backwards to make sure those two things are connected. YouTube, it really needs to be connected from the beginning. The biggest channel on fucking YouTube is PewDiePie, and it's a gaming channel. Why on earth would you try to alienate that audience? The biggest channels on YouTube are gaming channels. You know, I mean, why wouldn't you connect the dots on that? That doesn't make sense. You know, if it's so popular that you're going to make a separate website specifically for this, give us the option to like bridge the gap, you know, do the fucking Blizzard shit where you can connect the thing, like, or just like YouTube and Google Plus where you can connect the accounts. And if you want to disconnect it later, so be it. You know, we've worked hard for our viewership. We've worked hard for our subscriber base. Don't make us start over. You know, I will if I have to, because I'm doing this at the end for fun, but they need to work out the bugs in this, Tyler, man. I mean, this is definitely not going as smoothly as it needs to. But those are my thoughts on it, dude. Thanks for listening to my rant. Appreciate that.
Well, do you want to go on to listener questions for the week?
Yeah, we can do that. Oh, there's one quick thing I want to cover first. All right, so you have Gears of War. I have Gears of War. So this is something that affects both of us. Okay. I am personally really getting sick and fucking tired of this. You have to play such and such by such and such date, or you don't get X, ABC, XYZ. I, for one, thinking if it's already on the disc and I've already given you my money, why should I have to do anything else? Why do I have to play on your game schedule? In particular, ladies and gentlemen, with the Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Okay, so I apparently missed this, but if you didn't play multiplayer before this past Monday, you don't get to unlock the gold Lancer and Hammer Burst. That's stupid. Like, they didn't even give us a week after it was released.
Yeah, that pisses me off. I
I'm
didn't
like,
get
what
that.
like, you can't give us a month? Like,
Right.
fucking, that was like 6 days. It came out on a Tuesday, excuse me, and this expired on a Monday,
And
on
some
the
of us
31st.
work, for a
I know.
living.
Yeah, yeah, Cliff Bleszinski. Fuck, no, he's not even charged, so I can't even blame him anymore. But fuck Cliff Bleszinski. I can't even pronounce his stupid name. Fuck you, you fucking dyed hair punk. So, okay, but the bigger picture on this, guys, we have until the end of the year on this, at least, until December 31st at midnight. But you have to play the game, I think, online in at least one multiplayer match to unlock games 2, 3, and 4. Why? Why am I being forced to do something I don't want to do to get access to something that is on the disc? It's not a
Right.
download. I've already paid for it. I saying that I find that irritating is like the understatement of the century. I mean, the Halo Master Chief Collection, for all its faults, Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4 were ready to rock from fucking second one that I put in that disc. So they at least got that right. This,
Right.
why do I have to? I mean, dude, you could probably go into a match, it'll probably say unlocked, then I'm quitting. Because I don't give a shit about Gears multiplayer. I want to play Horde, I want to play co-op. Why am I being forced to do this? Like, are you so afraid of that part of your product failing that you have to give us an incentive? This is a built-in franchise, man. This isn't a new IP. I mean, this is right there on the freaking coattails of Halo as Microsoft's other big gun franchise. What the fuck are you so afraid of? Are you really afraid that people aren't going to play this at all? That's pretty freaking weak faith in your property, if you ask me. But you have it, dude. What do you think?
I'm along the same lines you are. I think it should be playable from day one. I don't like being on a schedule when I need to play my game
Right.
to get my stuff that should come with the disc. I mean, that's why everybody, got the Ultimate Edition is because, remastered one and they get the other games, included with it. It's part of the whole package deal. And, to only offer it for 6 months, really a lot less, 4 months. I just think that's bullshit.
They should have remastered all of them, to be perfectly honest. I mean,
Yeah, I think they should have too. And I guess when I first pre-ordered it, I was under the impression that all of them were, and then I started doing some digging into it, and I was like, oh, this is only the first game remastered, so I'm sure that'll be $40 more later on
oh,
down
I'm
the
sure
line.
it is. And the fucked up part is that Gears of War 2 is so much better of a game than Gears of War 1.
Yeah,
Like, Gears of War 1, you're just scratching the surface. Gears of War 2, Horde mode, I mean, that's a whole nother fucking level of game. And 3 was even better than that. So it's like,
they probably know that. They're like, oh, we
oh,
can
I
make
know. They're just fist permanently up ass, no lube. I mean, it's, yeah. Fuck it. All right, so, end rant, thank you very much. Go buy Gears of War. Hopefully play it for the end of the year so you can unlock something that you've already owned. Yeah, you got to work for your money, guys. We're indentured service to the fucking gaming companies now. All right, so viewer questions. We got 3 this week. First from Mr. Sea Stove, Mr. Corey Stover, who he's not the Godfather anymore, guys. I think Tyra and I have usurped him as far as the Godfather of retro gaming. I'm sorry to say this, Sea Stove. We love you, but you're not the fucking Godfather anymore. You're too young. Sorry. No, all love, man. So Corey Stover, Mr. C Stove asks, someone tells you you have to play one single game for 24 hours straight or you die. Which game? Excellent question, dude. It's like, this is a tough question to answer because it's like, do you want to pick the game that you're not going to get bored with? Or do you want to pick the game that you can actually play for that long?
I picked a game that I could play that long without getting bored and that I loved.
Okay.
And that would be Grand Theft Auto 5.
Ha! Nice.
I mean,
Very
it's
nice.
so many games in one. Like, I don't know how many people do this, but I can spend hours just like going and jacking an aircraft or helicopter and just flying around and pissing shit off. I mean, I love like getting the cops after me. and then busting in the airport and see if I can get in the plane and take off before
Nice.
they catch me. You know, and
Nice.
I mean, I love this, and I could just jack off for hours in the game. You know, just goofing off, doing whatever,
Hmm.
stealing cars. And then, I mean, you've got all the missions you can do.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a ton of stuff to do in that game, and I think if I had to pick one game to play for 24 hours, that'd be it.
You and I apparently were separated at birth because my logic on this wasn't that far from yours. I picked a game that there is no fucking possible way that you could finish in 24 hours. I picked Skyrim
Nice,
because
that's a
it's
good.
just like you could legitimately play that for 24 hours straight and not see the same thing twice. As a matter of fact, odds are pretty high that you won't. Because it's so. I mean, like let's say you didn't even do the full campaign and you just ran around like dungeon raiding, you wouldn't run out of dungeons. You can't do them all that fast. I mean, there's literally hundreds of them on the fucking map. So even if you're just doing side quests and dicking off, like chasing dragons or something like that, that could easily fill 24 hours. I mean, time just melts when you play Skyrim.
And then I'll go to an opposite end of the spectrum. Just throw a little honorable mention out there.
Okay.
The younger me, I could easily play World of Warcraft for 24 hours
Oh
straight.
God.
I had to throw that out there,
All
man.
right. All right. Well, then I'll see you on that, and I'll pick one retro game that
All right.
I'm sure a lot of people would be like, you couldn't play this for 24 hours. I think I could. I'd probably be ready to like destroy my television by the time this was over with, but I think I could do this. Only if I had a friend to play with though, because it would have to be competitive. I would play Balloon Fight.
Oh, okay, that's good choice there.
It's a long game. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
levels. You're probably not going to make it on the first try. Yeah. I mean, because even after you ran out of levels, you could make it like a competition on Balloon Trip, see who can get the farthest and shit. I'm pretty sure I could stomach that for 24 hours. I'd probably never play Balloon Fight ever again for the rest of my life after that, but
Right.
I would, yeah, if I had to pick a retro game, I think that's what I would go with.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that was a very good question. Let's see. Joseph Gibbons asks, "What are your thoughts on handheld gaming?" Hmm,
What are
that's
your thoughts, Jimbo?
that's a very broad question. Well, I'm not an avid handheld gamer. Like I do have handhelds, and I mean I grew up in the Game Boy generation, and I absolutely had one. Excuse me. It's never been something that I've been drawn to over a console. Like to me, a handheld has always been an afterthought. I know for a lot of people, it's the exact opposite. With the success of things like the 3DS, I mean, it's doing better than a lot of consoles do with the success of that platform. But it's, I guess it's like I need to play it on a television, dude. Like, I mean, I think I am the audience for which the Super Game Boy was built. Because that really got me to go and play more Game Boy games. Like, well, if they're colorizing and I can watch it on my TV, yeah, I think I'm gonna play this more. So, it's, I mean, it's cool. Like, I loved playing Link Between Worlds. That single-handedly, I think, kind of reignited my passion for handheld games, and it got me to buy a 3DS, and I got the Zelda 3DS. Yes. So, excuse me. It definitely has its place on the market, and if the 3DS is any type of benchmark, it's not going anywhere. I mean, that thing is selling like freaking crack on a crappy street corner. So
They make a different model every
they,
month of
they
that,
are
it seems like.
printing money with that system. I mean, that is just
I know there's some people that buy every special edition. They must have a shelf like we've got games just lined up with 3DSs. I don't see how they collect them all.
I would wonder, and I would say, if you put all the DSs and 3DSs together, would that be the best-selling video game platform in history?
Yeah, I would say so because um, I mean they've outsold so many consoles.
Hmm.
I mean it. I would I would say it's up there definitely.
I think if it's not there yet,
I know
it
the
will get
Wii
there.
got up there. With every therapy company buying some and hospital. I mean everybody was buying Wii's back in the day, but the 3DS, yeah, and they have such long lives.
Yeah. I think
Um,
if it's not there already, I think it will be one day. We're gonna look back on a list, and the DS platform will be the all-time bestseller.
I have a deep love for handheld gaming just because that was for a lot of people that don't know, like that was my very first system. official like personal system that was bought for me was the Game Boy for my birthday,
Nice.
and the first game I got was Dr. Mario,
Nice.
and the second one was Metroid 2, which
I have
of
that one.
course ignited my entire love of Metroid, and I've loved it ever since then, and where a lot of people have like Nintendos and Super Nintendos.
Hmm.
Like I had a Game Boy, and so that was I was playing like Mortal Kombat on my Game Boy. I was playing Pit Fighter on my Game Boy.
Oh
You know,
God,
Terminator 2, the arcade game on my Game Boy, and
that's dedication.
yeah, and a lot of those games were great back then. Especially not having the better system. So
Hmm.
I definitely had an appreciation for it back then,
Hmm.
and then moving to here in the present. I love the 3DS. It's had a lot of great games for it. Like you said, Link Between Two Worlds was uh, a great game, one of the best Zelda games I've played in a long time.
Hmm.
And I'm really, and this is a recommendation for you, Jimbo,
What's up?
and for our listeners. Definitely look into getting a Vita because it has such a obtainable library right now for very cheap.
Hmm.
You can get a PS Vita Slim for a really good price, and you can pick up like great games for $10 to $15 a pop for the Vita. And there's some great games playing on it. I'm going home to see my parents this weekend, and I'm gonna take my Vita with me. I'm gonna take Batman Blackgate. I'm finishing up Tearaway right now,
Hmm.
and especially like when I'm staying down there and I'm winding down at night and there's not much to do, nothing on TV. I love to just sit down and play handhelds.
Sure.
So it definitely has, still a big part, in my video game playing. And right now, it's, a majority of it. I haven't played, Xbox One game really. So I mean, I've been played a little of Rare Replay. I've been playing it for the past couple weeks, but just like here in the past week, I've done more Vita playing and on my iPad. So it's definitely a big part of my gaming.
We need to play some more rare replay. And just as an FYI, since I have it now, yeah, Grab by the Ghoulies in 1080p at 60 frames per second is the shit. If you've never played that game and you have an Xbox One, don't even bother with the Xbox version. Pick this up. Dude, it looks like a new Xbox One game. Like it is so beautiful and colorful and everything. Like I showed a guy the game who'd never seen it before. He's like, "Is this a new game?" I mean, he literally thought it came out for the Xbox One. It looks so good, and
Nice.
it's that has really held up, and all they had to do was upscale it, and it still looks good. So yeah, Rare Replay is the shit. Okay, let's see. Final question before you guys get my mystery Laserdisc pick. I know that that's probably all of you that have been listening now, for over an hour and a half. That's probably why you're still listening right now. You want to hear what my final Laserdisc pick is, and don't worry, I'm gonna take care of you, man. I got you. I'm gonna give you what you need. Promise you. So, Jorge Andres Sandoval asks, what do you think is the future of Metal Gear Solid and where does Hideo Kojima end up? I can't answer the first part of that question, but I'll let you do that since you're more of the PlayStation guy than me, but I will answer the second part of the question. The only
All right.
logical thing that Hideo Kojima could do, start his own company. I think that he's going to become his own publisher. Like, he'll contract out to PlayStation or Xbox or something like that, but guys, he's got enough money. I mean, he already owns Kojima Productions. He doesn't need Sony. I mean, he really doesn't. He can go and create a new IP and publish his own shit, and just his fucking name on it will be gold. So I see him, like, this is the push out the door that he probably needs, where he's like, fuck these people. I'm just going to go do what I want. So fuck Konami. So that's my 2 cents.
I don't know. Like I've missed the past several games other than Metal Gear Rising, and I'm so lost in the story. My buddy was telling me like the beginning of the game, and it just sounded so ridiculous. I've got to read his analogy of the beginning of the game because it's I mean only in a Metal Gear game would
Oh
you
God.
see anything like this.
All right, I can't
All
wait to
right,
hear this.
so here is his synopsis of like the beginning of the game.
Okay.
You wake up from a coma, and then a shitload of soldiers show up, and the place catches on fire. And an enormous hulking guy who's on fire, absorbs bullets, shows up, and then a girl that looks like a mantis with fire for hands shows up. Then you're outside, and the fire guy is riding a flaming Pegasus that turns into a flaming unicorn, and then you end up in Afghanistan. How any of that?
Holy shit.
Right, I don't know. That's just Metal Gear games, I guess. But from what I understand, it's getting
Oh,
like incredible reviews, so it must be good. But I haven't played the past several games in that series,
me either.
so I'm so lost on the story. I'm like honestly just want to start over at the beginning on PlayStation and just play my way up, so I'll have um, some knowledge of what's going on in the game. And I've gotten the HD collection on my 360, and I'd like to go back and play some of those, but I need to start off with, um, the one on PlayStation and go up. So, like, I think the same thing with Jimbo as far as, either he's going to have to create his own studio or he's just going to join somebody else just to create games. But as far as Metal Gear goes, who knows where the hell it'll end up with Konami being so indecisive. So,
Yeah.
we might not ever see a Metal Gear game again. But I mean, it's had a good long run, and if
Hmm.
it ends on a great game, like maybe he'll create some new property that's even better.
I know.
But so everything's got to have an end, and maybe this is the end of Metal Gear. But if it ends on a good note, and he goes on to the sunset to do something else, that's totally non-game related, then
That's fine.
he'll have had a good ending. So
I just hope that somehow, some way, we'll still get the Silent Hill game someday. But that's just me dreaming.
yeah,
I'm hoping maybe some way, somehow they'll patch things up and get that figured out. But probably not in the immediate future. So before we go, ladies and gentlemen, I know you guys have been drooling for this because I mean this is the motherfucking future here. It's gonna blow your minds. Laser disc. We have the Ewok Adventure, ladies and gentlemen. So now I have the duality or the duology or whatever you want to call it of the Ewok movies: the Battle for Endor and the first movie, the Ewok Adventure, which I think is the better of the two movies. Yep.
nice.
My laser disc, Rain.
How many laser discs do you have?
Don't know.
We need to
Probably.
count. Huh?
I've got to be over 40,
Mm,
maybe 50. I don't know. Like when I get them, I usually get them in like loads. I buy them in like chunks. So
right.
yeah, it is kind of winding down though, because I've gotten most of the ones that I set out to get. So still chasing the Holy Grail one, which hopefully by the next time we do this podcast, I may have in my possession. But we'll see.
Okay. Good.
We'll see if that pans out. It's not going to be cheap, but that's okay. You can't put a price tag on passion, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we do things here on the Nerd Bucket. So, Tyler, this has been a treat. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. For anyone out there who watches, listens, sort of watches to us while you're bored at work, puts us on in the background, whatever, guys, we sincerely appreciate everyone's time. We have a lot of fun doing this. Excuse me. This podcast isn't going anywhere. Tyler and I will be back. We are going to take a break next week, I guess, because we're so late in the game this week. We don't want to, basically pull up Borderlands and give you too much Nerd Bucket and blow your fucking mind. We don't want to do that. And Overstay are welcome here. So you'll get a vacation from Mama and Papa here, and we will definitely be back the following week to give you more Nerd Bucket. I'm sure there'll be plenty more shit that pisses us off and cool things to geek about, which is the whole reason that we do this podcast. So, without further ado, thank you to everyone who submitted the question. Tyler, as always, thank you for joining me, sir. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
And I guess we will see you guys next time.
Later, guys.
See you.